Hey everybody, welcome back to another adventure with Lemire Legends, home at 10,000 Lakes Taxidermy. I got a good one for you here. We're going to show you how to do basically a gag gift squirrel rump with very limited material and real simple to do. Easy technique we have for you. And basically on this nice little piece of birch, the knot hole, we're going to attach it to this piece of cedar right here. So anyways, let's get started. What we're going to need is a couple of drills. We got about a 1/4 inch drill bit, tape measure, Phillips drive, toothbrush for fluffing your tail, a piece of wire about 12 inches long, a wire cutter, some clay, our good old handy dandy borax, and this is going to be our base. Now this is going to be an insert inside of our squirrel rump. Basically this is about 2 inches by about 2 inches, something like that. Fairly close. It just depends how much hide you want to leave on your squirrel when you're doing it, and how much of a butt you want to make in it. I just like this. This is an old oak armoire that we had laying around that was no longer any good, that was falling apart. So we just cut these little chunks off. It works pretty good. But you can, instead of using this, you could use foam. You can make your own. You could do the whole thing in clay. But this is fairly lightweight, and it'll keep our shipping costs down. And you could do the whole thing in foam too. But I found out that this is a nice little technique to hold our tail locked in, and we'll get to that here in a second. So, and of course, you're going to need your this old pine squirrel, old red squirrel. And we're just a little bit damp right here, you can see. So anyways, let's get started. Our apologies for not showing you how to skin this out. Basically all it is a circular cut around the midsection, halfway point between the hind legs and the front legs. That should give you enough to work with on something that's 2 inches right here to wrap around the top of this to staple it. And again, we'll get to that in a second. We pulled the tail out of it. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put some borax in there for dry preservative. Like I said, our apologies for not showing the skinning process. But, you know, like I said in other videos, this day and age of taxidermy, got some tenderfoots out there, and our apologies to them. But, you know, it's a squirrel. They're basically a tree rat. They're a menace in people's garages here in northern Minnesota. And, you know, they got to be kept in check. And why let them go to waste and let every critter in the country get them and let them ruin the insulation in your garage and all of that when we could put them to use. So here we go. Enough of that. Also, we just cut the hind feet off. We took our side cutters and we chopped the feet off. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add a little bit of borax in there. And that's going to be basically our tan. That's all that we're going to use. We're just going to rub a little borax on there. Work it around. Now, you don't have to get this way up inside the tail. If you get this stuff jammed up in the tail too far, this powder, you're going to run into problems when you put your wire in up the tail. And the wire is it's basically a support wire. And this wire right here that we're going to use, this is just basically tie wire, you know, mechanics wire, fairly flexible. And I couldn't even really tell you the exact gauge of this, but you can get the idea. You know, it's fairly flexible, and we're going to be able to fish this right up our squirrel's tail. It's about the right size for what we want here. And we've done a lot of these. We sell quite a few of these on the internet here and there. So we got a pretty good system down on doing this. So what I'm doing here is I basically just preserved the squirrel. That's all you really need to do. Now, you don't want this fur sitting around in your table for 2, 3, 4 hours and then put your preservative on it and go, geez, well, all my fur started to slip. And it will on the belly right here. That'll be the first place your fur will slip. And the reason for that is the heat and the moisture on the squirrel skin starts a reaction with the bacteria, and the bacteria starts to eat away and deteriorate your skin. But now that we put this borax on there, what happens is, one, it's going to dry up a lot of the blood that was on this. on the outside here. And the second thing, it's going to dry up a lot of the fluids and stuff, and it's basically going to keep that moisture from growing, and it's going to cure our skin out. So we're all set. So the next thing we're going to do, now when you look at this, okay, this is going to be the rump, and this is a narrower part of the squirrel, if you envision that right now. So what you want to do is we're going to put our wire through just like this, and we're going to bend this down at a 90-degree angle right here. About 1 inch of wire sticking out. Okay, and again, when you come through here, you want to make sure, okay, say your squirrel tail is probably, 8 inches long or so. So a 12, and this is 2 inches and 1 inch here. So we're going to have a little extra we're going to have to cut off here, but that's okay. So about a 12-inch piece of wire is good. And the reason I like to use this wood instead of just a piece of styrofoam is you can see right here. Okay, if you put your squirrel tail on there, this is going to want to rock and roll on you, and you want to stabilize this. Okay, and the way we do that is just we got a little electric stapler right here. Just like that. And that's going to anchor our wire in place. Real simple. You can't ask for easier than that. Now, if you want to piss around and you want to take a hammer and you want to knock those down farther, that's fine. But when you get that fur wrapped around the back of this and you anchor it on here, you're never going to even know, that those staples are even there. So you don't have to worry about flushing that up. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get into our clay here. And this is about the consistency of this clay you want. Now, you can use potter's clay. This is just some cheaper taxidermy clay that we use. And we're basically going to just rebuild this rump right here. This is actually just a little bit too wet and soupy, but it's going to work. So ideally you'd want it a little bit drier than this, but we'll make this work. This isn't rocket scientist, a mission here to do this. Just want to work that clay around there. Almost like a morel mushroom this time of the year in northern part of Minnesota here. It's in April. They'll be popping out any time, but we're not going to stick mushrooms up inside of our squirrel. We're going to make this a little hobbit house instead, right? Okay, so that's it. Real simple. I'm going to clean some clay off my fingers here. And now, the trickiest part of the whole operation is to try and get that wire fished up that tail. And the things I found out is the fresher the squirrel, the better, first of all. For fishing that wire up there. You don't want a dried out tail that you're fighting with. And if you've seen one of our other episodes on pulling a squirrel tail, there was a fox squirrel video out that wasn't out too long ago that showed you how to do that. And the fresher the better. And the other reason is if there's any dried blood or this starts to dry in here, we're going to get a pinch point on the squirrel. Not saying that we're not going to struggle with this, we don't know, but you might get a pinch point where that wire does not want to go up the tail. Okay, so let's get an idea where we're at here. Okay, we want a bushy tail. We don't want it all stretched out real skinny and thin. We want to have a little bit of bushiness to this tail, so we don't need all that wire now. So we're gonna knock this down a couple inches. I'm gonna say about that. I'm happy with that right there. Now, if you want to reference off the top of this is a medium-sized red squirrel, pine squirrel. If you want to reference off the top of the clay where we're at, we're about 4 inches. 4.5 would probably have been ideal, but this will work. So, okay, now we're gonna do. You can see where we're at right here. We got our clay on there. You want this wire to the top because, of course, this is the tail is going to be pulled up like this when we're done. You don't want that wire in the middle here. You want that wire towards the top 1/4 of our mold is where you wanted that to go through. And what I did is I just pre-drilled 1/4 inch drill bit, okay, down through here, out the back side, and I fished my wire through. this clay out of the way before I knock it on the floor. All right. Now, next thing, want to make sure that her tail isn't twisted. Okay, you can see by the bright yellow, or yellow. Yeah, I paint fish for a living, colorblind. Okay, the red. We got the red top of the squirrel. So you know it's the top of the tail. Okay, the belly side of the squirrel, a lot lighter here. Okay, so we know we don't have any twists in our tail. That's kind of the key factor to this. No twists. It'll help us fish our wire through here better. What we want to do is just want to stick this in. Okay, this is the top side. We're going to start to, we're going to find that opening. Okay, there's the rear end. Okay, there we are right there. There's the opening to the tail. And again, you don't have to worry about putting a lot of preservative up inside of that tail. It's going to dry up on its own. You won't have any issues with that. Okay. Now we're on point here, I believe. We're going to try and fish that on there. A little bit of patience and keep the kinks out of the tail, and hopefully this is going to drop on there. Like I said, no guarantees, but this is the trickiest part of the whole operation. A lot of times you'll have some blood in there, maybe a little piece of a tendon, a dry spot, and it can be a little bit of a stickler. Some go real smooth and the other ones are a real bugger. I mean, I've even had squirrels that I went so far that I just changed tails out because I just got frustrated. I said, you know what, we're just going to Franken squirrel it. I think I'm going to sell t-shirts. An adventure with Franken squirrel. I'm Franken squirreling it here. I'm in struggle bus it. Oh, popped it out. Okay, I'll try that again. Live and unedited. And this is what we do. This is how we do most of our videos. You know, we are been in the business a long time, but it is taxidermy and it does take a lot of patience sometimes. Things don't want to go right. You can edit it and recut it and retake it and do it over and over and just make it seem so easy. But the way we pretty much elected to do our videos is like I said, live and uncut. We're real and authentic, and this is how we roll. So there we go. All right, so now we can see we got that on there. All right, there it is. Okay, now you don't want to pull it down so far that you jack the wire out the tip of your squirrel tail. I mean, you're gonna end up with a split tail like this on your squirrel if you pull the wire through the end. So keep it in check there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna work this around. Basically our mold, our custom made, cheap and out mold here. Like I said, it does the job, and the cost was minimal. Just a few cents for basically just a little bit of clay. And clay cost is probably more for shipping than what the clay actually costs these days, but that's besides the point. Borax is little or nothing, and just a pinch of that and a couple of staples and a piece of mechanic wire. You can buy a 100-foot roll. I think our fleet supply place, it's about $12 now for, I don't think it's 100 feet, but just under that. It's not very expensive. So there we have it. Okay, there's our squirrel right there. Now there's two ways to do this. You can see on this one right here. We started to put a little bit of clay in here to give him some feet. And here's a pro tip for you. When you want to do a gag gift squirrel, when you put your pricing, you could spend an extra half an hour in extra weight for shipping, and you could put really nice feet out here. I mean, not the feet, but the stumps portraying where the feet would have been, or you could just leave it without the feet. And I found out that you're going to get the same money either way. So I don't really monkey around putting that, basically the nubs of the hind hocks in up of the squirrel on there. They are right here. If you wanted to put some clay in there, you know, I left enough fur there when I cut these off with I just cut them off with a shears right through the bone and got rid of the feet. But you could leave that on there. But as a taxidermist, my little pro tip is you're not going to get the extra money for a gag gift by making it look really, really special. I got my buyers that I appreciate them and no knocks to them, but you know, I'm sure they're in it for the resale. And I mean, if I ask an extra $10 or $15 for that extra half an hour of time in that clay and a little bit extra for shipping, they don't want to pay it, you know. So I really think, in my opinion, that it really doesn't matter. So I'm just going to do it just like this. Okay, I'm still rolling the fur. Now you're going to see a little bit of slippage on the end right here, and that's it's really not slippage on the skin or on the fur. It's just where my cut line went around and I cut some hair. Okay, so basically you just pulled that on just like a sock on your foot. Okay, just like that. And we have just about enough there that we're going to line this up. Okay, just like that. What I like to do is, in fact, we'll just do it with this toothbrush. I just like to get rid of that. Pushing the clay there just gently, right where the anus was, because there'll be a little hole and you have clay coming out of there. And I know you'll probably lose money if they see a piece of clay coming out the underside of your squirrel. So we're going to get rid of that. Gotta have fun in the shop once in a while. I'm using clay for sculpting hobbit houses, and now we're doing poop turtles. But anyhow, like us or leave us. Thanks for staying with us, and I hope you will like and share and subscribe. So if this is some value to entertainment, whatever it may be, we're gonna have at her, and I hope you are too. So what we're doing here is we're just pulling the fur over the back side. And again, this is another reason why I don't use a styrofoam, because it's just, if you're using wood like this, you can get a good bite on this. It only takes you 4 or 5 staples and you're all set to go. This is going to stay on there for you. Okay, and really the only key, that one didn't stick very good. I didn't have my stapler flush. Here we go. One more right here on the belly. We got her. Okay, there's our squirrel rump, just like that. Now we're not going to get real picky about the symmetry on this rear end and all that, because what we have to do next is we have to attach this to the wood, and we're going to be putting pressure on here. And what's going to happen is we're going to have to readjust it anyway and fix this up a little bit. So I'll show you how I do that. Everything's looking pretty good. Now this is all gonna dry, and it's gonna fluff up really nice. It's looking a little ratty right now, but as we go, we can add a little bit of borax to this. You know, this is gonna dry it up, and as this air dries over the next 24 hours, we can comb it 1 or 2 times. And your whole working time on something like this, if you're all set up, you know, and I make these blocks of wood ahead of time and I have my clay ready, your whole working time, you could probably knock out 2 of these in an hour, hour and a half, skinning and everything. And, you know, we're right in with shipping everything, we're probably in the ballpark of $35, $45 take home profit on something like this. I mean, these squirrels in the fur market, I mean, it's not even worth your time to skin them and stretch them and send them up to the Canadian fur auctions. You're going to get $1 or $2. I remember, just a quick little story here for you. We're going to try and add some of this kind of stuff, because I've been at this kind of stuff a long time ago. I had a whole bunch of squirrels that went up to an auction up in Canada one time, and I was just a kid. And what happened up there is I waited for my money for like 8 months. I was so excited. I was going to get my check back, right? And I literally had a whole bag. I mean, there was probably 30 red squirrels in there, and I averaged like 17 cents. I was just devastated. I mean, back in that day, I mean, 30 squirrels at 17 cents, even back then, it was hardly enough to even buy a couple packs of baseball cards. let alone put gas in my bike. Oh, wait. Well, I got away on that end. I didn't put gas in the bike. It was a pedal bike, by the way. It was a joke. So anyway, I'm just trying to kill some time here. You get the gist of what I'm doing. Just trying to fluff up this fur. This guy looks like I ran him over with my pedal bike. But anyhow, that's that. So that's our squirrel tail. Basically, we're going to fold that up just like that. I'm going to put a little hook on the end here, just like that. And then as this dries now, we can work this squirrel a little better. We can get that hair to stick out really nice, and we can bring this together a little bit better. But anyhow, what we're going to do next is, what I did is I attached a hanger to the back of this ahead of time. I took my 1/4 inch drill bit. I made 2 holes about 3/4 of an inch apart, and I made sure, these are just 2 sheetrock screws, I made sure that they're just long enough that I have about a 1/2 inch bite into this oak. And we're just going to attach this right to here. Now you want to make sure, obviously, that your tail is pointed upward with your hanger, and we're going to attach that. Now this is the part that, like I told you, you're going to lose your clay and your mission on this. I'm trying to do this by myself. Usually I have an assistant or somebody to help me do this, but bear with me here. We're going to try and get it on my own. There we go. Okay, there's one. You can see how we kitty-wampused our clay. You know, I was pushing right there hard, and I moved it. So we're just going to work that back in here when we're all done. Now we want to make sure we're straight up and down. Okay, let's see, we got to twist this a little bit this way. Just like that. And we get them a little more centered. All right, let's put the other screw home. Now you want to hang on to the squirrel again when you do this, otherwise your squirrels are gonna rotate on you when that screw grabs into that chunk of oak. Ooh, there's a finger. Just like that. And that's basically our squirrel butt. Like I said, we're just going to do a little bit of preening, move some of this clay around so things get a little more symmetrical. And we're just going to do a little bit of fluffing with our little handy dandy little toothbrush here. Like I said, it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a gag gift anyhow. So people, like I said, from my experience, I mean, you could spend 4 hours to make one of these look just perfect and pretty, and you're not going to get that much more for it. You want to do a good job, but I mean, it is your I don't know if it's your reputation on the line when it comes to work like this. It is a gag gift, and you know, listen to my stupid humor on the phone, on the internet. I was trying to roll another joke into that when I was working on this. I was going to say my stupid ass, but then I said phone for some reason. But anyways, I'm just babbling. I'm just trying to get this done, and I appreciate everybody watching, and I hope you got some value out of this and my warped sense of humor. And thanks for watching. And again, please like and subscribe and share. We have some more stuff coming real soon. We started that fox squirrel video, and we're going to show you how to put the mold back together and get that project completed. It's just about panfish season here in Minnesota. Things are gonna heat up pretty good, and we're gonna have some more fish work. It seems that people like those bluegill videos, and we appreciate all you for watching those and the great support. And if you have anything else you want to share, you're looking for, please comment, and we'll get back to you. We're pretty good at that right now. We're catching up on the comments, and we appreciate your support once again. So thanks for watching, and there's our squirrel.